was feeling froggy, so I said, why not? It was going to be a pre-recorded video, but let's do it. I'm on to a few new things, and I posted them in Discord, so maybe somebody will read them quickly and chime in. It's a poetry scansion. Poetry used to be, I never had any interest in high school in poetry. Like Romeo and Juliet and Shakespeare, like the most dull times for me. Yeah, the story of Romeo and Juliet's cool. I like some of the modern adaptations of it. Some of Shakespeare's other works, Macbeth. I get the story, the concept, but I guess the teachers I had really wanted to go down and break down the analyze the meter and the syllables, and it was not what I was into in high school. Funny that now, like today, I'm really into it. So much so that I learned about a scansion and what it means and what it does. Hey, shout out from the Big D. All right, thanks. Appreciate it, Jeff Roberts, man. Love the Big D. Yes, I made it here. Hey, you're in here, Goldfinder. All right. But yeah, so that's kind of my late breaking news. Third, almost this side of the radio was about the poetry, and I had a scansion done. AI, it wasn't mine. Hey, what's up, Debbie? And they broke down the meters, and they broke down the syllables, especially the stresses. I'm not always confident that I'm saying the words correctly or I'm pronouncing words like everybody else does. So I needed a little bit of computer help to tell me how. So I wasn't able to post it in the Mysterious Writings Discord, but I don't know why, but it allowed me to post it into Calazar's Discord. So the latest thing I posted was Calazar's Discord. This video is on Justin Posey's Beyond the Map's Edge. And I did a scansion of the poem. And so this is all new terminology, new words for me. But if you wanted to look at it, I don't know if you have ability to dual screen, or if not, you can come back to this video and look at it. At first, I used to think that breaking down a poem, even though figuring out syllables is not too hard in a service level, and counting syllables is not too hard in a service level, I just wasn't sure how applicable that would be. But I got into a rabbit hole today, and it didn't seem too far. So I'll cover that toward the end, maybe give people some time to read the content and come back in. But the story we're covering today is the Postal Pilgrimage, which, again, I think reveals a little bit more about Justin. Hey, good afternoon, Tyler. What's up, man? But so we're just going to go ahead and get into that. So it starts on page 23, and it's a pretty, action-packed story, right, as far as stories go. It involves rattlesnakes, right? He even mentions one of my favorite movies, Anaconda. And so we'll talk about that right in the beginning. You can tell a lot about someone about the references they make, right? If you're around somebody who's constantly referencing, like, anime, then you're gonna kind of, okay, this person's into anime, he's a weeb. If you're into someone who's constantly referencing action movies, this guy's an action guy. If you're into someone who's constantly referencing maybe classical works, okay, that tells you what. So let's look at this chapter. JP took the scroll off his poem. Now it has a standard background. Oh, interesting. Oh, okay. Oh, maybe that was secret. All right. In that case, I'm sorry I read it out loud. Hey, Yada, what's going on? But let's look at all the references he makes in this story, all right? So it starts out, Lawrence of Arabia, Narnia, Homer, Roadrunner cartoons. Those four are on the first page, right? The very first page of the Postal Pilgrimage. Then we go on. This story has more references than I've noticed in any other in any other story. So we continue on. John Wayne, Medusa, Helen Keller, Anaconda, Romeo and Juliet. And I may have missed one, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's 9 references in just one story. And I'm used to him throwing out references in the book, but 9 in one is a lot. Now, disclaimer, I don't think he's using like clues, like, oh, you have to watch all that. You have to watch all the Narnia series. You have to watch every single adaptation of Homer and the Odyssey. You have to watch all Roadrunner cartoons, watch all the John Wayne catalog, which would be a good watch. But watch Medusa, watch the Helen Keller documentary, watch Anaconda 1 and 2. There might be a 3, and watch every Romeo and Juliet. No, I don't think that's the point here. But I do think that because he used so many references in this chapter, he's kind of giving you more insight on who he is, right? I mean, he's the kind of guy who's telling a story about getting mail and getting surrounded by rattlesnakes and still making references to Lawrence of Arabia, Narnia, Homer. Which, sidetrack on Lawrence of Arabia, I recently watched a behind the, I don't know if I'm allowed to cuss, behind the BASTARDS, if there's any kids watching. I guess they're like a podcast, and they do like certain figures in history. And they did one on Lawrence of Arabia, and it was pretty enlightening. I like to listen to podcasts on a road trip. And I can almost see, I don't know if he sees himself, but I can see some traits like Lawrence of Arabia was kind of academic, but also adventurous. And also like the way he's described is kind of like thin and academic-ish. And I don't know, I just, I'm not trying to glaze the dude and say, he's Lawrence of Arabia, but I'm wondering if he sees himself or a little bit of similarities there. Anyway, because the actual reference is, the driveway stretched before me like a gravel-strewn gauntlet that would have made Lawrence of Arabia think twice. Right? Like, obviously Lawrence of Arabia would not be intimidated by a gravel-strewn driveway. Right? This is a guy who's single. I mean, if you don't know who Lawrence of Arabia is, like, great movie, really interesting character. A lot of pros and cons. His life is very what's the word? I don't know. He's an interesting character for sure. But moving on. Yeah, so all those references are in this one story, which is only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 pages. Not one of the longest ones by any means. But again, a lot of references. Definitely paints a little bit of picture of who we are. So yeah, JP, Lawrence of Arabia. Yeah, very, very colorful history, right? Huge figure in history. I mean, the Balfour Declaration? Is that the one I'm thinking of? But what the European Allied powers did to the Middle East, and I'm not going to get too political here, but in the aftermath of World War I, like really set up a lot of the issues we face today, right? So just say that as politically correct as I can. But anyways, moving on, because I can get bogged down here. I love history. I'm a big history fan. One thing to mention, another note I put down is his reference to an IRS auditor. I don't know if he's ever had any interactions with the IRS or how he feels about IRS, but throughout the book, he will mention, so here's how he says it on page 25. My grandfather fixed me with a stare that could have turned Medusa to stone. Your mind, he declared, with all the warmth of an IRS auditor. Right? So it's kind of, I guess it's a common analogy, IRS auditor, very cold, unfeeling robot. But Justin, he mentions IRS auditor like at least 3 different times. I don't have an ebook to easily search. I don't have that marked to me, but I'm pretty sure it's in here at least 3 times. So I'll have to keep an eye out for that as we go down. Senor Clean, yeah. Hey Jay, appreciate the subscription. Subscribe. I appreciate you. We get a great explanation of Griffith. Yes, exactly. Okay, yeah. Let's get to that this side of the radio, right? But I also like the self accountability toward the end, right? So the main point or the punch for the story comes toward the end. The rattles have faded now. Their warning soft as memory, right? Memory, wink, 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 right? Memory. But they tell me what Grandpa never could, that he's seen me, but he afraid. Oh, sorry, I missed it. That's my fault. I went too far. I want to do the paragraph before that. Still on page 27. We built our walls too high. See that accountability there by saying we? He didn't say he built his walls too high. We built our walls too high, which is if it's we as in like all of humanity and people, or we just as him and his grandpa, which I mean, that's a lot of accountability to take for, how old is he here? He's got to be a young kid. I don't know, preteen. I think he even says prepubescent. They say I think he says prepubescent somewhere, but we'll call him a preteen. I mean, how responsible can you hold a preteen for his emotions and the walls that he built, right? So there's some accountability there. But let's continue. We built our walls too high, his granite silence, my need to prove myself. But in that moment, watching him hand over those rattles, something shifted. A wordless admission that changed everything and nothing. Right? And then we go on what I was saying. Let's see. Their warning, soft as a memory, right? Memory, wink, wink. But they told me what Grandpa never could, that he'd seen me, that he'd been afraid too, that the bravest thing we ever did was admit those walls were built on air, and the love we tried so hard to protect was there all along, disguised as a jar of rattles on the shelf. Let's analyze that a little bit. He'd seen me. That's an immediate callback to the the story before, where he says the last sentence. And this is on page 22. And somehow, in that late afternoon light, I understood that every story he'd ever told was really about the same thing. Impossible things could happen if only someone was watching, right? So in order for something impossible to happen, someone has to be watching. And then right here, the next one, he feels seen, right? And that he'd seen me. And that scene is emphasized at least 3 times, because then he talks about his wall is the need, my need to prove myself, right? And his grandfather finally saw him. And then if we go a little bit further back up that same page 27, praise stuck in his throat like fish bones, another fish analogy. Kindness came out sideways through grunts and unfinished sentences. Yeah. So again, very open, we're continuing to explore who Justin is. I think it was a journey in his grandfather's. I saw GF at first. I was like girlfriend, but grandfather, right? I think so too. Which is interesting. The compare and contrast. This could be a whole English paper in itself. Between the 2 grandfathers. Yeah, Straw Hat, you're like 6th or 7th. No, you're 17th. You're not even normally you're first on there. But this was unannounced. Yeah, this is a great character study of his dad's dad, right? So which we don't really find out too much history, at least that I think of, about his dad's dad. Because his mom's dad, that's Wayne, right? That's the Ranger, the World War, the veteran. Hiked the Rincones, with the canteen and a pocket knife. And we find, and there's a whole chapter dedicated to him that we learn about. But as far as the hardest guy, when you think of hard is his dad's dad, which seems really hard. I say we're looking forward to 3D bronze. Yeah, hard at work, man. Got to make those bronze things. Even the picture, I don't know, he kind of looks like a John Wayne-esque character, and it's funny that he mentions he tried to channel his inner John Wayne right above the picture of him looking. I don't know. I get a little bit of shades of a John Wayne-ish. I wonder if he was a tall guy. A couple other things on this. So toward the end, he talks about he found a dromedary pimiento jar to put the rattles in, which I Googled it. It does look like it holds rattles. It's like a shorter jar, I think it's like this tall, this round. I know that's a terrible sizing. Just it's flat, shorter and flatter than a baby food jar, if that helps you. Or you can just Google dromedary pimientos. But the shirt he's wearing is stuffed. This is going to be backwards for you, I'm sure. But if you look at that page in the book, page 25, he has he's got a pimento shirt on. I don't know if I didn't read what the illustrator said, that I think she said, now I'll have to reread it if she said there's no clues on there. But it just seems odd that is that a real thing? Do they make stuffed pimento shirts? I mean, the kid is wearing, in the illustration, a stuffed pimento shirt. That definitely seems like something in my head, if you fed this chapter into AI, it would make a shirt. It would make a kid with a stuffed pimento shirt. But there is an illustrator, so there's all that. Waiting for Cheryl's fits. Yeah, I'm excited. I think I'm gonna get one too, Gold Finder. So pretty interesting. I cover ebooks all black and white. Yeah. Yeah. So pimento there. What else? There's a couple more things from this chapter I wanted to go into. IRS auditor, poem, slide. Okay. So Small note: the science fair line. Where was that at? Let's see, see. It would stay on his shelf with where's it at? Where's it at? Tucked between old yearbooks and science fair ribbons, page 27. Science fair ribbons. So I never won a science fair ribbon. I think Amanda. I think our high school had a couple, and I think I had to enter one of them. And I don't know what I did, but I definitely did not get a ribbon. I know that for sure. And I don't know if public schools are different all across the country. In my head, I don't think that they just hand those out. I think you have to be kind of good at science to get a science fair ribbon. It makes sense to me. I don't know. Maybe things have changed. But if he grew up in the 80s and 90s, I think that was like before the participation ribbons, right? So you would have had to been good in your class to get a science fair ribbon. I don't know. If anybody in chat has ever won a science fair ribbon, I mean, you can say that your school just handed them out, or if you felt like you legitimately earned it. But that just brings to mind the character of a person who is who's very scientifically inclined. Which, if you saw the Netflix documentary, you're kind of getting that, right? I mean, his hobbies: anodizing stuff in the garage, tinkering with X-ray vision, building the programming, right? So you kind of get that. But I think this chapter, said it again, chapter. This story reveals a lot about him and about like his past. And get a ribbon, Gen Z, right? Yeah. Do they just, anyone who has a kid now in science fair, do they just give all the kids ribbons now? I don't know. I don't know the scale of how hard it is to get a ribbon at a science fair. Again, because I was never scientifically inclined, so I never got a ribbon. That's for sure. The nerd of nerds. Oh yeah, Debbie, you ordered the book. Oh, that's good. That's good. Okay. Let's go on. IRS. Okay, site. So we're finishing up with the whole site thing. This is. I want to say it because we talked a little bit about it last night and just with like a couple people that were online. So you're breathing. Here's your ribbon. Yeah, you entered the science fair. You get a 27th place science fair ribbon. I don't know if that's how they do it nowadays. But I threw this out there, and I'm not saying it's a solve. I just found it interesting. So the whole end of the poem where he talks about shadowed sight. When I first read it, again, I think very surface level, very simply. I thought of sunglasses, right? And I'm still thinking that how that would apply. Maybe there was something on a page of the book. I don't like this that much, but a couple people seem to like it, so I'll share it. Again, because I'm trying to figure out how this would work, right? If wisdom waits in shadowed sight. I mean, I like what other people are saying, that like wisdom is a place, either a city or a park or something, and it's in the shadow of something, like at the foot of a big mountain or a shadow of a building or something like that. I kind of like the way that goes. But I just had the thought that I wonder if there's sunglasses that play into effect in the book. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 pictures in the book with sunglasses. One of them might be transition lenses. I don't know. You'll have to judge for that. But I'll just put it out there in case people want to follow up on this. Page 2, it's his mother wearing sunglasses, fishing the beaver head. 34, it's his grandmother, Grandma Posey, wearing sunglasses. Those are definitely sunglasses. Moving on to 75. 75 is his father. Those are sunglasses. I don't know if they had transition lenses in the 90s. Did they? I don't know. 75 is his father. 143. 143 is his grandmother again, which is that's twice. That's twice that the grandmother has sunglasses on. They almost look like the same pair. This could have been taken at the same time. The outfit's different, but could have been on the same trip. Like it looks like the same trip, maybe. Same glasses, same haircut. So the grandmother's on there twice with sunglasses. 157. Justin himself wearing sunglasses. All right, and then 179 is, I think, Gary. Let me double check, which is his stepfather. Yeah, Gary wearing sunglasses. Which Gary's sunglasses look pretty similar to Justin's. But no, they're a little bit different. So again, if there's something on that page, I don't know, polarized lenses, Maybe polar lenses. Halfway down, shadow sight, something. Yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to throw that out there. A couple people got excited, so I was like, I'll throw it out there. Could be one of the things that actually hit the two different things. Yeah, it could be. It could be. What else? What else? Covered the story. We covered all his literary references. 9 of them in one story. That's a lot. First mention of the IRS auditor, which will pop up a couple more times. We covered a little bit of more of the theme of his grandfather and not being able to communicate praise, and his desire as a young boy to be seen by an elderly respected figure, and then the whole aspect of being seen calls into the poem, which now I can pull out the poem, and there's like 3 references in the poem about sight, right? You could this might be a little bit of a stretch. So can you find is looking, right? Can you find, you have to look. So that's a sight word. Going down, shadowed sight. It's another sight word, sight. Going down. What you seek. See, again, you're seeing, you're seeking, seek. So that's 3. So 3 sight words I looked at. So yeah, we're looking for something in time, and maybe vision and sight is another key or avenue to find, or a way to work through this poem that now we know it's consecutive, right? Any clues of the shadows of the poem's borders? What do you mean poem's borders, Jay? Because on the book, there's like a little bit of, but this pattern is repeated on every single page. Like it's not a unique pattern. So I don't see any borders on there. I'll talk about extra. Yeah, and you're right. Wow, I didn't even make that connection this side of the radio. Yeah, so maybe everyone's been focusing on the clock and the time. Okay, yeah, clock, time. He's messing with the clock. We get it. But that's the first time I've heard anyone talk about X-ray vision. I mean, I've heard people talk about it, obviously, but as relation to the poem, that's good. I like that. So that's, hey, the 3 things he's doing. Let's play this out a little bit. The 3 things he's messing with are his 3 hobbies: the X-ray vision, the anodizing metal, and then messing with the clock. So time, so sight. What would the metal thing be? Anything? Alchemy, alchemy, chemistry. I don't know. We're still. So this was a discussion we had last night. Also, people were talking about how complicated does something have to be what the clue that Justin was alluding to in Calazar's interview, right? That I put one thing in there that you need some technical knowledge, or again, I need to go over that again so I can memorize his wording and the verbiage verbatim. But to me, breaking down, counting the syllables in a poem that's not super technical, right? And again, I wouldn't count the periodic table of elements super technical because that's posted everywhere. So I don't know. I think they need to find this speakeasy. Yeah, you really do, man. They pop up. They pop up just like speakeasies do, like pop up. But normally it just starts with a few people saying, "Hey, I want to talk about this clue," and everybody just rolls from there. All right. Hey, what's up, Diana? X and Y Poems Borders website is shadowy. This is the first part of the document. Yeah, I don't know, Jay. I know what you're talking about now because the poem is printed in the website like a scroll, and the edges are kind of rolled a little bit. I don't really think that there's much there for me. All right, the last thing I had. Okay, we covered sunglasses, the poem, sight. Huge shout out to this side of the radio for the X-ray call in. Okay, so I think the last thing I wanted to say was, the poem. Yeah. That's right, we'll get into the poem. All right. So, and this is computer help, AI help, so it may not be perfect, but I had it analyze the poem, looking running what's called a scansion, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And so this is posted in Calazar's. It wouldn't let me post for some reason in Mysterious Writings, but it broke down. It said the poem is a mix of metrical patterns, right? And if you could just count counting syllables, we've shifted now into the poem, in case you haven't caught that. If you're counting the syllables in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stanzas, The first one goes 7778, and I got excited. I was like, oh, maybe there's one letter that's always off. The next one goes 7768, and I did that, like, I recounted 3 different times because that really throws off my thing that one was going to be off. The next one goes 8898, and then I'm really freaking out. It's like those teachers that make all the multiple choice answers C just to mess with the students. Like, have you ever heard that? Like, the teachers will do like everything C, and so the students are just freaking out as they're going through. Like, there's no way every answer is C. Like, nobody would do that. So it's just a little bit cruel to me that he did the syllables 7778. Then the next stanza is 7768, and the third one is 8898, and then we go down the fourth one 7887, and the last one 7778, right? And I mean, again, I'm not 100% sure that I'm pronouncing the words correctly. That the way I pronounce the words with the syllables, like right, like I say sandwich, right? That's got to be weird, but I don't know. So again, I wanted a computer help to see if is the way I counted those, and someone else can count them too. Like, tell me if you got the same thing, because I would really want there to be every stanza have one line that the syllables are off. That would really make sense. All right, we got one. All right, let's see. Let me just do the whole put user in timeout, hide user on this channel. I don't know. I haven't figured out the best one to do, but that should help out. All right. Okay, so back to regularly scheduled programming. Yeah, so we're talking about the syllables there in the poem. So again, just wanted to get a consensus of the numbers because I haven't seen anybody post them yet. So hopefully this will get that game rolling. Again, and I don't know if I'll type it out, but I do want to say that there's 7778, right? So I got excited because one's off. Next one was 7768, right? So I was like, oh man, 2 are off. Unless the 77 are placeholders, and the important thing is 78 and 68, right? Then you have 8898, so then the important one's 98. I don't know. But once I had those, I was like, okay, maybe there's something there. So again, going back to the analysis, right? So most, from what I've learned, so a foot, right, is expressing the syllables, and so that's important. There, a lot of the words, who gets credit for this last night? There was somebody in the chat last night. This is not my original thought. The whole thing of feet being applied to, what did they say? They said foot is a poem word, right? And so I looked it up that, using the stresses on the syllables, right? And so the way they analyze this, analyze is not a word. Yeah, it could be a placeholder, right? So I was looking for trochaic, 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 because that has the root in 3. To seeing if there was something to do with trochee and trochaic, to see if, but this poem does not follow a trochaic pattern consistently, is what the analysis was. The analysis was it has an occasional anapestic feet, but they're mixed and rather form in a strict pattern. And overall, it's saying that this pattern, that the poem does not have any consistent pattern, which, I mean, if I'm a computer programmer analysis guy, I don't really want my poem to have a set pattern that someone can easily find and decrypt, right? So it kind of would make sense to me that, hey, some lines are 7, some are 8, some are 6, some are 9, but they're all within 7 or 9, right? Or 6 and 9. Those are all, and there's only one that's 9, and there's only one that's 6. So I don't know if that's gonna play into it. But and then I also posted. I'm not going to read all this out. The conclusion was the primary meter was called iambic tetrameter, iambic tetrameter, which would be 4 iambic feet per line. So instead of 3, it's 4. That's the overall consensus for the poem, according to a poetry analyzer. There's some substitutions, some anapestic substitutions, but definitely not trochaic, which is kind of what I wanted to find to see if there was more, if this trochee thing could lead to something. But that's what it is. Keen to nothing. Oh. All right, man. That's pretty good. It's not April Fool's, so I don't really want too many people, distracting from the community here. So hopefully, I know you've made some good points in the past. I think I don't want to ban you if or block you if you're not if you're just joking around. But it's not April 1st anymore. So let's kind of keep that silliness away. Jay, from what Justin described, sounds like you can get the general area from research at home, but can't. Yeah, I think that's. I'd agree with that. That you can kind of get most of the way through Armchair, which will kind of help you out, so you don't have to actually spend all that money and resources traveling all over. Some of the discords have a lot of static. Yeah. I'm trying to keep this a static-free zone, right? All right, so we're coming to the end here. 30 minutes. The last thing I want to say is I did interview Justin. The interview is completed. It's waiting on his approval. So I know he's busy with trying to make sure that the book deal is cleared out and that he can get books to people who are waiting on them. And so we're just waiting on him to give the final okay. I do apologize because I uploaded it and I made it private and sent him the link so he could see it. But I did put it in a playlist, and I didn't realize, I'm still new to YouTube, that if somebody has a link to the playlist, they can see the video if that's unlisted, even if I hadn't marked it public. So a few people did get to see the video early, and yeah, so they did, and they made a couple Reddit posts about it. But I mean, no harm, no foul. That's on me. That's not on Justin. Just me being silly and not knowing how to work a YouTube. So that should be, again, I expect that to come out any minute as soon as he gives the okay. It's not that long. It's like 25 minutes long, and it has some pretty good. I think it has some good stuff in it. So, all right, I just wanted to announce that to clear up any confusion there. And if there's anything else, I cease your tariff and raise you tariff. All right. If there's anything else that anybody wanted to talk about. Oh, Dipper, small U Dipper nurse. Okay, yeah. So, oh, Alan, appreciate it. Thank you, man. Talking about some Dipper action. No, I am not. I'm not Arabic. What's up, Norman? Missing some people. Some call outs there. All right. I think that got everything. All right, guys. When will you go boots on the ground? I think a lot of people know the general area already. I think a lot of people think they know the general area already. I don't know. I don't plan on I'm East Coast, so I'm far away from all this, and I wouldn't spend the money or resources to go unless I had a very, very, very exact solve. And even then, I know enough people in the area all over the West that I'd probably just send it to one of them if they wanted to go. I really unless like something groundbreaking, eureka. Light bulbs going off, beam of light from the heavens shining down on my head. I don't think I would go out there. I just don't want to spend the money on something that I'm unsure about, right? I think it's for deep months already. Thankfully, I work for an airline. Yeah, hey, the airline hookup is a pretty good one. All right, heading off, guys. Take care. See you later. Bye.